All right, this assignment is for value scales and gradation practice. I want you to set up your sketchbook to look like this, without the paint for now. Just do a value scale, 6 steps, get about this size. Okay, I don't want teeny tiny little value scales. And then do another value scale below like this. And draw yourself a little place for a gradation here. I'm going to show you this one here live and just talk about these other two. So set up your sketchbook like that, and then you're going to do a tint value scale. So that means the color with white, and the more white you have, the the lighter it's going to get. So here, step number 1, I want you to do pure white. Step 2, take a dark color, tiny little bit of that, add that to a lot of white. You can add more of that dark color each time. So on step 6, it's just that color. Okay, so this would be just plain blue, no white added. So you got your lightest value, your darkest value. On the shades value scale, I still want you to have step number 1 the lightest, and step number 6 the darkest. So you need to make black, paint pure black here. Remember, mix your own black. If you have black paint at home, I don't want you to use black paint. Use paint that you make with the primary colors to get a blackish color. Step 1 will be a pure light color. I recommend either the primary magenta color, that one, or the lighter yellow. So that's going to be a pure light color. Step 2 will be a lot of that light color with just a tiny bit of the black, and each step will get more and more of the black. Your goal here is to make 6 different values that you can tell apart from each other. You should be easily able to tell where each one changes to a darker value. Once you're finished with those, I want you to try a gradation. And here, what I want you to do is use white for your lightest value, and then choose a darker color. I'd say anything other than the plain yellow. You want to go from white to a darker color. If you use plain yellow or light yellow, it's going to not look that much different from the white to the yellow. So I think I will use red, and I'm going to use white paint first. So that's going to be here. So you're going to put a lot of white paint down on this end, really pile it in there. And then you're going to start to pull it to the right. And your goal here is, okay, first of all, make sure your brush is cleaned out properly. You can see what happens if you don't have it cleaned out, some of that greenish color in there. Let's get that cleaned out a little bit more. All right, so lots of white down here. And while it's still wet, you got to do this a little bit quickly. I want you to pull that to the right. Maybe to about there, before you go back in and add red from the other side, or a dark color. Also, guys, if you don't have white available for whatever reason, right now, just I'd say use the light yellow over here and then a dark color over here. All right, again, while this is still wet, you can pull the red in the other direction until they overlap a little bit. Now for the harder part, blending. All right, so we need this to blend as gradually as possible. So what I would try to do is get some water put in there so that it doesn't start to dry too quickly. Take that and pull that back a bit to blend it into your red. And we're going to go back and make this a little bit darker red later on. We can leave it for now. Now you're going to pull this pinkish color towards the left into your wet white paint. Now, here's where people go wrong the most. They take this pinkish color and go too far. You don't want it to go all the way to here. You need this to be pure white over here. So you need to kind of clean off your brush and not have too much of that pink paint on there. Continue to pull it over just a little bit. Clean off your brush. Then continue to pull it over. Sometimes your brush holds a lot of paint in it, so don't pull that pink paint too far over. Now we need to go back in here and kind of smooth this out a bit. Again, keep cleaning off that brush if you have excess paint on there that you don't need. Let's go this way a little further. Feel free to always add just a little bit of water if it's starting to get too dry too quick. Going for a blended, gradual change of values as opposed to a step-by-step change of values. Trying to go for a look that you can't tell where it changes exactly. I'm going to take a different brush, a dry brush, and just gently kind of smush that around to get rid of some of those flat brush strokes that I had in there. Just kind of evening it out. Again, this is a clean, dry brush. Find one that's kind of fluffy. It's going to help do this part. Okay, so that's white, light pink, darker pink, getting darker. And like I said before, I'm going to go back in with just a little bit more red at the very back end to go as dark as I can with that color. And a little bit more blending. Try to make it so you can't see those brush strokes as easily. A little bit is okay, but try to minimize those. All right, something like that will do. Light, dark, and unlike our value scales from up here, we can't tell exactly where does it change values. Once you finish that, get that photographed and turn it in.